The second main wave of movement west found pioneers traveling all the way to the Pacific Ocean. In 1800, an immense area of land west of the Mississippi River, called the Louisiana Territory, belonged to France. President Thomas Jefferson wanted to buy the city of New Orleans from the French. New Orleans is at the mouth of the Mississippi River, which flows into the Gulf of Mexico. It was a very important trading center, and the United States wanted it. President Jefferson sent several officials to Paris to work out the details for buying the city. France's leader, Napoleon, had other plans. He knew that war was about to break out between France and Great Britain. In order to help pay for the war, Napoleon wanted to sell all the Louisiana Territory to the U.S. Secretary of State James Madison arrived in Paris in April of 1803 with an offer of $10 million for New Orleans. Madison was stunned when Napoleon offered the U.S. the entire territory for $15 million, just $5 million more than they were going to pay for New Orleans alone. The Americans were offered an area of about 828,000 square miles. They had no time to consult with Jefferson. Within weeks, they had a deal. Jefferson was shocked when he learned that instead of simply adding New Orleans, the country itself had doubled in size. While he was delighted with the purchase, there were a few problems. For one thing, no one knew much about this new territory. President Jefferson, a surveyor, wanted the unknown territory mapped. But who could he send on such a dangerous mission? Jefferson turned to Meriwether Lewis, an Army captain and Jefferson's private secretary, and William Clark, a former officer who had served under Lewis in the Army. Both men felt at home in the wilderness and were skilled mapmakers. Lewis and Clark had two main assignments. The first was to try and find the Northwest Passage, a mysterious navigable waterway that many thought ran through North America, linking the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. The second was to map and describe the vast new territory. Jefferson also wanted the expedition to make contact with the Indians they met along the way and establish friendly relations with them. The expedition, 50 men strong, set out from St. Louis, Missouri in May of 1804. They spent their first winter among the Mandan Indians in present-day North Dakota. Here they met a young Shoshone Indian woman named Sacagawea. She had been stolen from her tribe several years before and was now the wife of a Canadian trader. Sacagawea and her husband joined the expedition, and she served as an interpreter for the Indian tribes the expedition found. For the most part, Lewis and Clark's encounters with the various Indian tribes were peaceful. Many of these Indians helped the expedition, often providing food and describing the way ahead. Just as they reached the imposing Bitterroot mountain range along the border of what is now Idaho and Montana, the expedition chanced upon the very Shoshone tribe that Sacagawea had been kidnapped from years before. And the chief of this tribe was none other than Sacagawea's brother. A member of the tribe joined the expedition and safely guided its members through the rugged mountain range, the most dangerous part of their journey. In November of 1805, Lewis and Clark finally reached the Pacific Ocean. They built a fort and stayed the winter near what is now Astoria, Oregon. The expedition returned to St. Louis in September of 1806 with a mass of new information about an unknown land. Lewis and Clark wrote about the cultures of more than 50 Indian tribes, some of which had never seen a white man. The explorers also cataloged more than 4,000 miles of landscape and identified hundreds of plants and animals. They also found out that the elusive Northwest Passage did not exist on American land.